Coin traders, what is going on? Thanks for joining me for a quick little update on Algorand ALGO on that ticker. If you noticed from the video a couple days ago, we talked about the potential of losing this hourly uptrend. Well, that actually happened, but now we're actually seeing the bulls reclaim this hourly uptrend. So we're starting to make higher highs here and then obviously put in the big low. Volume now pretty decent overall. We are on the 1 hour chart though, so still a lot to have happen. Now, I want to switch over to Bitcoin right now. We're on the 1 minute chart, kind of looking as we are less than 1,000, less than 800 now, pretty much until the $100,000 major mark. And who knows if it's going to be a nothing burger event or not, but I think having Bitcoin hit over 100,000 and 6 figures finally is going to be a pretty big event that's going to get talked about a lot. And that probably will drive a lot of hype and interest in the market. And then that's pretty much what leads to a lot of retail exploring other altcoins, other chains, listening to a lot more content, investing, which turns into more money. And then the FOMO of, I wish I would have invested more money. You get the picture anyway. Yeah, so less than 700 until that mark does hit. So who knows, maybe by the time we finish recording this algo video, we'll actually hit that mark. But eyes on the mark for algo right now. And so, yeah, so this is kind of just highlighting how these overall trends work. Because if we actually go to the 15-minute, for example, this is what we did talk about first when we did talk about losing the hourly uptrend is some of the shorter trends. So when we do lose the shorter trend, so for example, lower low, lower high, lower low, then typically what we do is switch over to the longer term charts or start zooming out and start seeing how that does impact the overall chart. And in this case, we did lose the hourly, but then all we have to do in this instance, zoom out to the 4 hour, you can see that the 4 hour trend is still very much intact, holding a higher low over the low here at about 18 cents, which did come in between the 12 and 26. So right now, typically what we do see, it's very common to see these supports kind of hit the next level to the downside. So just like we had in between 12 and 26, now we do have the support coming in between the 26 and 50 very nicely. And then obviously a very, very nice rebound, maintaining the gap between the 12 period, the 26, and huge gap between the 50 as well. So a lot of nice upside, especially in the wake of this Bitcoin chart, just screaming to the upside here, putting in a lot of nice 1 minute volume here for Bitcoin as well. So do expect probably before the night is over that we will be looking at a 6-figure Bitcoin, but obviously we could see a lot of sell pressure coming in for Bitcoin as well, and kind of a dump to allow a little bit more consolidation, test some lower supports. But anyway, back to Algorand. So yeah, we are looking at a high right now coming in of 23.85. So that is going to be the next level we look to actually see a higher high being put in. And pretty much right now, if we do go ahead and zoom out, you can see how we are starting to get a lot more of that parabolic stage. So as we always talk about with parabolic moves, we do have the rally, reclaim some support, actually consolidate. Then the next big move, ultimately that does pull back kind of right now in a little bit more of that consolidation stage too. And then obviously the next big leg of upside after that, especially with these nice bullish candles and starting to get a little bit more of this bullish volume. We were worried a little bit because we were seeing earlier initially, and we talked about this in the last video, a little bit of decrease in peaks here for the upside volume. But now hopefully we can see a rejuvenation of interest, especially with crypto kind of exploding right now. We're looking at Solana at almost new all-time highs. Actually, I think we're at all-time highs right now for Solana. Yeah, so we are at all-time highs right now for Solana over 260. So we are seeing a lot of good things here coming across for crypto. And so back to algo, you can see how obviously that does play off, and that kind of helps having a lot of other market sentiment play off. Because, for example, if we didn't have a lot of that, then typically we would expect that a lot of these trends would actually play out. So probably would be looking at a little bit more consolidation. So right now, if we do top out this previous trend high, going to start screaming upside. If not, though, that's where we do actually think that because we set in that lower low on the hourly trend, that we will be going into a little bit of consolidation. But typically that doesn't happen with this type of rebound move that quick and this much of a big bullish upside candle coming in, especially with a little bit of peaking volume. So major market sentiment shifting, especially with ADA and a lot of other cryptos getting a lot of hype as well. So a lot of sentiment and kind of excitement for a lot of L1s coming in here soon. So nice to see Algorand performing pretty well. And even from the low, like we talked about, looking at very nice upside gains and right at about 120 now since the election. So just want to do a little bit of extension targeting. So based on a Fibonacci logarithmic extension up to the current trend high, down to that swing low, then we would be looking at a 100% extension all the way up to the 26 cent mark. if we do go ahead and look at the daily and kind of zoom out here, let's put it back in the auto. And you can see how we're looking at a big resistance point pretty much coming up at that point. Like we talked about before, we are looking at pretty much the 28 cent being the next big major resistive target historically, because we do have big periods of resistance, support, support, and support. Okay, flipping over and checking out Algorand to the Bitcoin pairing here. Don't typically look at this one as much, but it's definitely important to look at, and especially right now as we do have the third week of increasing gains. What we have been seeing struggle a lot is a big resistance here on the 12-period EMA for this weekly. So right now in the current setup, we did have a nice candle previously blow through that, with follow through now looking like hopefully we're going to see a close on top of the 26-period EMA on this Algo Bitcoin pairing chart. So like we said, obviously zooming out, hugely negative looking chart here, but what we want to do is actually see growth continue, kind of like what we saw in the end of the 2022 and, the end of 2023. So about a year ago, same sort of thing. We did get stuck up in between 24 and 50-period EMA before retracing. So we do think that alt season is coming. So very good potential for this chart to actually see a lot more of this upside, especially if we do continue to get a lot more of this bullish volume coming in. So the current week, especially with just under 3 days, will likely end up having enough volume to actually push through that. But now do want to look at the logarithmic scale for this Algo Bitcoin pairing chart here, because just want to talk about how we have this big downtrend resistance line that got tested multiple times on this way down. So you can see that right now, especially after this little dip here, and yeah, we can actually go ahead and tighten this up a little bit even farther and make that next touch point. So right now, very nice V-shaped recovery here on this log chart. Like we said, nice volume coming in. So what we want to do, even if we do get rejected, is come down, back test some of these points, and then continue. That's essentially changing the trend, because right now, if we go ahead and zoom in, we can see that we've already started to put in a new high here. So we've actually cleared, and we're actually getting stuck up at resistance point here, coming in right at 256 Satoshis. So big point of resistance right now that we already got stuck up at resistance here, which matched up with the 12, and then also those were support points here previously. So big relevant level, but love to break it. And like we said, favoritism is going to start shifting over to the altcoins. And so, for example, pulling up the stochastic, or the RSI relative strength index, already put in our big low overextension, and we weren't even that far to the downside then, so about 340 Satoshis. Now higher lows, even though we did have lower lows in the trend. So more of that bullish divergence coming in, good sign. So would expect this to actually run. And then once we do break above and change the trend on these exponential moving averages, hugely good sign for the altcoin pairings in general, and should see very nice things, especially a lot of catch up in gains compared to what we have seen for Bitcoin just continuously running against all the altcoins. So yeah, back to the normal Algorand USD pairing, and still in the logarithmic scale. Just want to look at again on this weekly just how important this trend is here, because after the low pulled up on the weekly, higher low maintained very nice support. Now vertical straight shot pretty much, which we don't typically see that often, and hopefully we will get a lot of nice consolidation happening upside, not a huge major retracement and pullback. What we'd love to see is just kind of some sideways bars, or inside bars rather, on this weekly chart here. But big resistance point up overhead that we need to break, 27.86 on the close. As we can see previously, big resistance, big support, and then even looking left, big periods of heartline and kind of an area and more or less a zone where we were getting stuck up at, coming right off the Algorand launch. So like we said, back into the hourly, if we can maintain this and actually top out, put in a new higher high, that's going to keep those longer term charts heading to the upside, and we won't actually see a top and consolidation signals on the longer term until we do start to effectively confirm trend changes on not only the hourly, but then we'll start zooming out to the 4-hour as well, and then down in that instance, probably then to the 12-hour and then the daily. So yes, super exciting times right now. Seeing a lot of excitement coming in for crypto, and like we talked about, actually just saw a little bit of a retracement. So kind of going the other direction now for Bitcoin on the 1-minute chart anyway, but still potential to hit it. And definitely post your comments in the comment sections below whether or not you think we will hit 100,000 here in the next day or so. But anyway, nonetheless, thanks for joining me. That is going to wrap it up. If you did enjoy the show, please hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe if you have not done so just yet. Make sure to drop me a comment down in the section below. Any of questions, comments, issues, disagreements, all that fun stuff. Or feel free to reach out on Twitter or X at coin_trades is the handle. Looking forward to joining everyone and chatting over there. But that is going to wrap it up. So stay safe, take care, coin traders, and I'll catch you back in the next video.